everyone, it's Amy and welcome back to my channel and a Halloween themed video. Yes! You guys know that I pretty much live for this time of year. It is my fave. That is why I am rocking some orange today and my attempt at a berry lip, which is probably going to end up smudged all over my face as this video progresses. So look forward to that. If you love Halloween just as much as I do, then don't forget that I have my first ever Halloween merch. It's up for sale right now over on my website. I'll link it down below. We got the "It's just a bunch of hocus pocus" tee, resting witch face, and of course, feeling bougie. I love that one. Am I queen of puns or what? Go ahead and check those out. But like I said, today we are having our first Halloween themed video of the year. Whew, I don't know what those fingers were. I feel like I've got a little bit of cabin fever. Cody's at work today and I'm just happy to have someone to talk to, even if it's just a camera. So that's where the crazy's coming from. So last year I made a video where I read you guys a scary story from Creepypasta. It was a whole event. I almost died. I was so scared. If you didn't see it, then I will link it down below so you can go and take a look. But today I'm doing something a little bit different because the stories that I am sharing with you today are not from a website. They're not made up by anyone else. They are my own stories that are real life. These are true things that happened to me, and they are the top 3 scariest things that I've experienced. I thought that that would be a fun way to kick off the Halloween season, but if you guys want me to read another scary story from Creepypasta as well, I can definitely get on that. Let me know in the comments down below if that's something you'd like to see again this year. But for now, let's get into the very real stories from my own life. Okay, so I'm probably gonna order these from least to most scary. So we will start with the time that I went ghost hunting with my friends. It was a few years ago now, and we went on one of those after dark ghost hunting tours at a local manor park. If you don't live in the UK, then you might not know what that means. So think Downton Abbey as a reference point. Those big manor houses that have like acres and acres of land obviously all used to belong to these big wealthy families. But as time has gone on and these houses have been passed down through the generations, the upkeep on a house like that is pretty much impossible. So a lot of those houses and the land ended up getting handed over to the local counties, and now they're just tourist attractions. So my friends and I went on one of these ghost tours in a place called Markham Park. And the cool thing about Magan Park is that the manor house is actually a castle. Work first began on Markham Castle in 1830, so it's pretty old. But the history of that whole area of land goes back like 4,000 years. It was a monastery. It's got a whole like backstory, you know, as per all ghost hunting locations. Anyway, an interesting thing to note about Markham Castle is that it actually burned down, and that was quite recently, like within my own lifetime. When I was really young, there was a fire and a lot of the castle was lost. Large parts of it still haven't been reconstructed, and I don't know whether that's down to a lack of funding from the council or whether the council are just really slow at getting things rebuilt. But judging by the way that they do their roads, probably the latter. So now when you go visit the park as a tourist, you can go into the downstairs of the castle, which has been redone, but most of the upstairs is still pretty much gone. When we were on this ghost tour, we had access to one of the upstairs parts of the castle. So it was really exciting because I've been to that castle like a million times as a kid, but you were never allowed to go upstairs because there pretty much was no upstairs, and it's still pretty much the case. So as we went up, there were a few rooms that you could go into, and then on the left hand side from where I was standing, this part of the castle was all still completely destroyed. So you could look into the next room and you could see that the floor had been completely burned away, like there was no floor. It wasn't a room. It was a space where a room had once been. So I was there with my friend Haley, who you may remember from such vlogs as that time we went to Mexico and Christmas shopping in Bath, as well as that one time at Halloween when my friend Thorny caught fire. Remember that? Good times. Anyway, we were all standing in this room and the guy was giving a bit of an explanation, a backstory on something, and I started to hear noises coming from the room next door, which wasn't a room, and it sounded like creaking, almost as if someone was walking on floorboards that I knew did not exist. So I looked at Haley and under my breath, I've never spoken so quietly in my life, I was like, "Do you hear that?" And she was like, so I was paralyzed with fear at this point. It was just so creepy. And then all of a sudden there came this unmistakable thud, almost as if someone had tripped or as if something had fallen onto the floor, and it was very clear that it had come from that next room. The room that wasn't a room. It didn't have a floor. There was no possible way for someone to be in that room, right? Like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. But 100%, I kid you not, I heard the noises of the walking and the banging coming from the room when no one could have been. The next scariest thing that has ever happened to me happened very recently. It was just over the summer, and it all ties back to that ghost that was haunting me in my parents' house. I will link those videos down below so you guys can get the whole background on what was going on with that, because this thing was haunting me for a minute. So many weird things were happening and it just kept escalating right up until the point where I left and I moved out. So one thing that I'd never really questioned or thought to associate with all of this weirdness that was going on in my old room was that I used to scream in my sleep regularly. And it was weird because it wasn't something that I had ever done as a child. It was something that just came on very suddenly in my mid-20s, which is a weird time to suddenly get like any kind of new sleep condition like that. You know, usually those things happen in childhood, but all of a sudden I just would scream in my sleep, usually until someone would come and wake me up. So the first time when I moved in with Abida, and then also the first time that Cody and I started like spending nights together at each other's apartments, I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm a night screamer. Good luck with that. Because, you know, it's nice to warn people because it must be terrifying to witness. But the whole time that I've lived with Abida and all the time that I've dated Cody, they've never witnessed this. And I guess that it was something that I'd just grown out of. Then I went back home for the summer and I was staying in my old room. And within the first week of me being there, my mother came in and woke me up because I was screaming in my sleep. I was hysterical. Like, I remember waking up from that sleep and being truly afraid. Like, usually when I would wake up from screaming, I'd be obviously startled I was screaming, but it wasn't like a deep sense of fear, like something was wrong. But this night, I was all hot and bothered about something. Like, I was scared. Finally, lights go on. I go to grab the bottle of water that's next to my bed. And if you guys have seen in my parents' house, I keep right next to my bed like a bedside table, and on that, as if you like analyze all of the furniture that's in my parents' house. Like, remember that thing? Probably not. But if you've ever noticed, there's like a little tray, like a circular tray that I keep all my Yankee votives on because I'm a candle fan. And so I went to grab my water and all of the candles were gone off of my bedside table on that little tray, and they were lined up at the very edge of the bedside table, like right on the edge, from smallest to largest. What did that? And I'm scared right now. That was just truly horrifying to wake up and know that right next to my head while I was asleep, something was moving around my Yankee votives. But the final story is of when I was the most scared in my entire life. This happened years ago on a family holiday. It was me, my mom, my dad, and my nephew. And at the time, my nephew must have been 3, maybe 4. He was still a tiny human. And we had this apartment in Greece, and it had a bedroom with a double bed, and then the other 2 beds were single beds that were in the kitchen / living room area. Because my nephew was so young, it was decided that he and I would go in the bedroom and share the double bed, just in case he like got out onto the balcony and flung himself off, or ran out of the front door, or decided to play with knives, or got into the oven. I don't know, my mom is super overprotective, so whatever, we ended up in the bedroom together. But when my nephew was little, he was a horrendous sleeper, so he would usually end up like upside down in bed as the night progressed, and then I'd get kicked in the face. It was horrible. So to give me a rest and a better night's sleep, one night my mom decided to switch with me, and I slept out in the living room area, which actually didn't give me much of a better night's sleep because my dad snores. So anyway, I'm out in this single bed now in the living room area, and it's not that long since we all went to bed. I'm still wide awake because I never sleep, that's my life. And all of a sudden I hear my nephew, kind of like his teeny tiny feet pattering on the tiles. And I thought that maybe he was going to the bathroom, but no, he came on past the bathroom and into the living room. And I thought, well, maybe he misses me since he's so used to kicking me in the head. Maybe he's like, hey, Nana's not enough, you come back in here, this is the head that I want to kick. So I'm trying to look for him and see where he's at, but it was so dark in this room. I couldn't see a few feet in front of my face. The footsteps are getting kind of slower and a little bit more hesitant, and I'm thinking it's probably because it's dark, he doesn't know his way around. And so I'm like waiting, and eventually he kind of gets in line with my bed. And so I heard the footsteps stop there, but also when someone's standing a few feet away from your face, like you can just sense them, right? You are aware that there is a person there from just there being there, if you know what I mean. Even if you have your eyes closed, even if you can't see, if someone is right here, you know about it. So I'm waiting for him to say something to me, and he doesn't. So I'm wondering if he's maybe sleepwalking at this point. So I reach out my hand to like grab his hand and say, you know, hey, why are you wandering around in the middle of the night like a little weirdo? And there's nothing there. Nothing. No child. I don't think that sounds as scary as it was in real life. Like, just imagine the horror of hearing someone approach you, of being able to feel their presence because they're so close to your face, and there's no one there. So those were the 3 scariest things that have ever happened to me. And I know that in the scheme of like ghost stories, they're not that scary, but these were real. Like, these really happened to me, and when you're living it, it's terrifying. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped to get you in the mood for Halloween. I am so excited. Don't forget to go and check out my website to make sure that you get your hands on one of my Halloween t-shirts. Also go ahead and let me know if you'd like me to read another story from Creepypasta this year. You guys really seemed to enjoy it last year. If you want me to do it again, then I certainly will. And go ahead and let me know in the comments, what is the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? But as you can probably tell, my voice is going. There is not much left of it, so I better wrap up this video. If you liked it, then please go ahead and give it a thumbs up to let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much. Have a spooktacular day. See what I did there? Okay, let's wrap it up. Okay, love you, bye.